Many centuries ago, an old man documented his attempt at finding meaning in his life by following a purely materialistic strategy. He looked for that meaning by pursuing things like money, education, sex, booze, music, comedy, all kinds of activities. He had fun for a while, and he learned a lot about life. But in the end, he considered his quest to be a failure. He put it this way: I looked on all the works that my hands had done, and on the labor in which I had toiled, and indeed all was vanity and grasping for the wind. There was no profit under the sun. Therefore I hated life, because the work that was done under the sun was distressing to me, for all is vanity and grasping for the wind. It's that phrase, grasping for the wind, that catches our attention here. Here was a man who could have it all. Yet once he had it all, he found his life to be just as empty, just as meaningless, as if he had never tried. Like trying to catch the wind with his bare hands. He could never find that elusive something that would give his life value and purpose. So, despite all his experiences, he finally came to a point where he, in his words, hated life. What a tragedy. But you see, this man's experience is so much like our own. There are millions of people today just like him who are spending their lives grasping for the wind. They're trapped in a mad merry-go-round of careers, parties, hobbies, dead-end relationships. Yet for all their activities, they live terribly empty lives. As a society, we're struggling with increasing numbers of psychiatric disorders, addictions, dysfunctional relationships, and suicides, especially among the young. And hanging over all this chaos is an overwhelming feeling of personal emptiness. For all our prosperity and technological genius, it's obvious that something is missing. The purpose of these videos is to help us move beyond this futile way of life, this grasping for the wind, and find something solid that really makes life worth living. For example, in these videos, we'll explore the connection between our behaviors and the consequences of those behaviors. As human beings, we're perfectly free to say and do whatever we want, but we're not free to choose the consequences of those actions. Until we figure out which consequences follow which behaviors, we'll always be struggling to understand why our lives are such a mess and why happiness is so elusive. In these videos, we'll look at the role of belief systems in setting the direction our life takes. Contrary to the dominant philosophy in our culture, it does make a difference what we believe. You see, what we believe shapes our behaviors, which, as we've already noticed, have consequences. So it's important that we have a strong foundational belief system in place to keep everything else in our life properly oriented. And since we're talking about beliefs, let me say that God will make frequent appearances in these videos. You can love Him or hate Him, but one way or the other, God, or the absence of God, plays a major role in our struggle to find meaning in life. We'll also examine the power of attitudes to shape our interactions with the world around us. One reason life is such a negative experience for so many people is because they view life through a terribly distorted lens. If we can change how we look at the world, we'll find the world to be a much more pleasant place to live. And along the way, we'll talk about how to set priorities, how to make smart decisions, how to build better and stronger relationships, and how to cope successfully with the hardships that we encounter along life's path. So if you feel like your existence is a meaningless grasping for the wind with no real purpose, I invite you to join me as we explore a more satisfying alternative. And be sure to check out our blog at beyondgrasping.com. Life can be, and ought to be, immensely fulfilling. We just need to open our minds to see the path that leads in that direction. And I hope you'll join me on the journey. Have a great day.